American hypocrisy, oh let me count the ways. They came here seeking freedom, then they end up owning slaves. Justified to using Christianity which says religion don't mean shit, there's too much ego in the way. That's why ISIS is a crisis. But in reality, this country do the same shit. Take a life and call it righteous.
What's good, man? It's Western Groove. This could turn out to be the best year of boxing that we've had in decades. Look, the fights we already had, Thurman Garcia, Triple G Jacobs. We got Sean Porter Berto coming up. We had Lemieux and Stevens. We got Ward and Kovalev rematching in the summer. We got Spence and Brook coming up in the summer. Okay, and then to top that all off, right, with many other fights that are accumulating and look like they might happen later on this year that I haven't touched on. On top of all of that, we have the IBF saying that if nobody agrees to fight Beterbiev, they're going to make him the mandatory for the IBF belt. So what was going on is Beterbiev was supposed to fight Barrera for the eliminator to fight for the IBF belt, but Barrera backed out of the fight like a little bitch. He backed out of the fight. You know, that's and I always have to clear this up. When I say bitch or something, I'm speaking like not saying Barrera's a bitch as a man. I'm saying like in that situation as a boxing fan, you know, as a boxing fan, how I feel about that is, you know, bitch. That's some bitch shit. You know, now he's a bitch, but that was some bitch shit. Like, fuck that. Take the fucking fight and beat him, you know? I think Barrera could have beat him, but maybe we'll never know now. But the reason I bring this up is not that Ward will end up fighting Barrera next if the IBF makes him a mandatory, but that we can know that the winner of the Ward Kovalev fight is gonna have to fight Barrera. Now, if Andre Ward keeps talking all this retirement shit, I mean, hey, I would applaud his whole career and I would let him retire graciously. And I would just upload a nice video talking about his career. If Andre Ward rematched Kovalev, beat Kovalev again, and then faced his mandatory and Beterbiev, beat Beterbiev, and then Ward could retire. Ward could retire. You know, you couldn't talk shit. I mean, you can talk shit about something that's perfect. You know, you can always talk down on something, but it would be very hard to make any legitimate arguments as to why Ward is anything less than great. It's already hard. The only legitimate thing you got to say is you can say like Ward wasn't great right now. You know, you could say that over that span of Ward being inactive, and then when he came back up until he fought Kovalev. Well, I wouldn't say up until he fought Kovalev. I would say up until he fought Barrera, because even with that, you still got someone moving up and facing a contender in a division that they're new to. You know, so that's like if Charlo moved up to 160 and he didn't fight Kovalev, I mean Triple G, you know, which would be like the Kovalev at 160, but he fought someone like Lemieux, you know, and he beat Lemieux. He disposed of Lemieux in the fashion that we expect him to dispose of him. Like that's you know, you can applaud a fighter for that, you know. Now that doesn't make him pound for pound, but that still shows that he's legit. You know, his skills are legit enough to where he can go up and he can mess with other legit fighters at a higher weight class. So, and then for Ward to go on from that fight to fight Kovalev and beat him in a close decision, rematch him, beat him again, and then fight the next dark horse of 175 in Beterbiev and then beat him with that, and then with what Ward has done previously in his career, that would make him a first ballot Hall of Famer. He would be a boxing great, a boxing legend. Unfortunately, throughout Ward's career, he never got a huge name for himself. So he wouldn't be looked at like that by casual fans, you know. Uh, I live out on the West Coast, and I remember being in Oakland one day, just driving. And if you're from out there, out that way, you know about Lake Merritt. So this dude Andre Ward, he was just walking around Lake Merritt, just getting his exercise in, walking through crowds of people, and nobody knew him. I'm freaking out, I'm like, oh shit, the dude that's about to, and this was like leading up to him fighting Kovalev and shit, so I'm like, man, the dude that's about to fight Kovalev, you know in this big huge fight is just walking, doing his little exercise, just right here. And it just was funny to me that as he's walking around, nobody knew who the fuck he was. He was just any other fucking person at the lake. If anybody who's been to the lake, all kind of motherfuckers running around the lake. He was just any other motherfucker running around the lake. That's who Andre Ward was. This great champion who just beat Kovalev for 3 belts. To us, this such a, whether you hate Andre Ward or you love him, it's still a big deal. Because you're a boxing fan, you're passionate about the sport, you love the sport, so it's a big deal to you. It wasn't a big deal to any of those people. They didn't know. And to me, overall, though, more than that kind of showed me Andre Ward's level, because it is also part of his level and how he promotes himself. It just shows overall boxing. Boxing needs to move from pay-per-view. Boxing needs to move from everything being fucking HBO and Showtime. Like, you have to, like the Thurman and Danny Garcia fights, we gotta keep that shit going. We have to put these fights on free TV and let these boxers get exposed. And the reason I think that you even hear like some boxers kind of ed with it is because you do get less money. There's less potential money that can come from a fight that's on free TV, because even if you only get 150,000 pay-per-view buys, that's at $60 each. So if you do 120,000 times 60, that's a lot of money to get split up. But even with that being said, boxers would take a hit with their paychecks, and they would just have to take that. Like, there has to be a generation of fighters who are willing to take that hit with the paychecks to build the sport back up. I remember leading up to the Thurman Garcia, and people were talking about the numbers. They were saying that like there was some fights on TV back in the 80s where they hit like 35 million views and shit like that. Now, we do live in a different time where there's more outlets of entertainment to keep people's minds busy, to keep them entertained. So all sports probably kind of lose out to how it used to be back in the 70s and 80s and everything, when you know you couldn't just kind of be on your phone all day to stay entertained. You kind of had to be into that sport to a point. So they need to just take that hit and grow the sport back to where every time, to where the sport can grow back to a point where Thurman Garcia got 5 million views, where that 5 million could be like a contender fight, a prospect fight. That's a 5 million. When there's a Thurman Garcia fight, that should be a fucking 15, 20 million view fight. And then when you get boxing back to that level, even though some fighters had to take pay cuts to fight on free TV, when boxing gets back to that level where you can get 20 million people to watch you, you grow yourself by just being part of that establishment, the same way as an NFL player or MLB player, NBA player. There's people on there. The reason that you don't have to be known and you can make money in the NFL or NBA is because there's so much fucking capital there because there's so many people watching and interested in the sport. But that's all I got for now is Western Groove, and I'm out.